Paul Manafort was sentenced to an additional 3.5 years in prison today. The crimes include failing to register as a foreign agent under the FARA law. That's a law that Washington is in no hurry to enforce for anybody else, since half the city lobbies for foreign entities and isn't registered. There are a lot of potential offenses Washington doesn't seem interested in investigating, including newly released transcripts of Lisa Page's congressional testimony confirm that the FBI began investigating the president as, quote, an insurance policy against him becoming president, and that investigation began with almost no evidence against Donald Trump. Fox correspondent David Spunt has more on both stories tonight. David?
Hey, Tucker, Paul Manafort looking at spending nearly 7 years in prison if you include time served. He showed up this morning here in Washington where the judge said Manafort is, quote, not public enemy number one, but he is not a victim either, end quote. Manafort was sentenced for witness tampering and lobbying violations. Authorities also argue that Manafort lied after a prior plea deal. Combine his sentence today with the sentence from last week in Virginia, also prosecuted by the special counsel, and you get a 7.5-year sentence. But he's already served 9 months. Now, there have been questions over whether President Trump would give Paul Manafort a pardon. The president said this from the White House today.
I feel badly for him. I think it's a very sad situation.
If the president were to pardon Paul Manafort, he's still not out of the woods by any means. Today, Manhattan District Attorney Cy Vance announced a 16-count indictment against Manafort with charges mirroring the federal ones from Virginia last week. The president would not have the authority to get Manafort out of those state charges if he's found guilty there. Meanwhile, new light is shining on Lisa Page's closed-door testimony last year. New transcripts released this week show, along with Fox's earlier reporting, that Page testified Russia collusion was still unproven when special counsel Robert Mueller was appointed in May 2017. Tucker, today President Trump called the Obama Justice Department, quote, a broken and corrupt machine. Tucker.
David Spunt, live from Washington. Thanks a lot. Michael Caputo is a former advisor to the Trump campaign in 2016, and he's been through the ringer in the last couple of years. He joins us tonight. Michael, you watched the sentencing again, the second round of sentencing for Paul Manafort today, and you saw that one of the charges that he pled to was not registering under the Foreign Agent Registration Act of 1938, something that basically nobody in Washington does. Did you begin to wonder maybe if this was a selective prosecution?
Wow. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, Tucker, nobody knows more than you that, the left views absolute annihilation as victory, and they'll stop at nothing to achieve it. They'll try and get you fired, try and silence you, or they'll try, like in my family, try and ruin your family or even throw your dad in jail. But in the meantime, Paul Manafort's going to jail for a registration charge, and his partner on the Ukraine project, where he was supposed to be breaking the law, is Tony Podesta. And as far as we can tell, Tony Podesta hasn't been indicted. So even a blind person can see what's going on here. In fact, I think it's yet more proof. May I stop you there?
Was Tony Podesta registered under the Foreign Agent Registration Act of 1938? I don't think he was he?
No, he was not. When Manafort was called on it, so was Tony, and they both kind of extemporaneously registered for it, and they thought that was fine for Tony, but I guess it didn't look too good for Paul Manafort. It's outrageous, and now that we see Lisa Page's testimony and everything, this is becoming more clear than we've ever imagined it would become. But look, the Mueller report is supposed to be coming to a close, and my family's had our lives on pause for 2 years, along with dozens of other families. 81 other people learned this week or last week that nothing wasn't over in the House either. Chairman Nadler appears to be starting it all over again and asked us all for documents, and it appears that it's going to be a long, long summer with 81 people being marched in front of the House Judiciary Committee.
Are you going back?
Oh, I won't go back. I gave them a quick answer, me and my attorney, to their question for documents. We had no documents that they asked for. I also had the shortest document request of all 81 people, but they still asked my attorney if he would present me for testimony. And if they're inviting me, they're inviting all of us. And I can't, listen, at the end of the day, Tucker, we've talked several times about this. I've been doing this for 2 years. It's a long dance. I've testified 3 times under oath, each time to the same questions. Each time it cost me half a year's salary. And here we go again, just when my family was waiting to press play on our lives, right? And if, I got nothing left. They've taken my business. They've punched the living crap out of my family. I got nothing left. So what are they going to take from me but my freedom? And the only way they're going to take my freedom from me is if I testify a 4th time under oath and they get they tear me apart like Democrats are wont to do. I'm not willing to do that. So I'll take the 5th and I'll keep doing it as long as my family's GoFundMe holds out on GoFundMe.com. We'll keep doing it. I think some of the other 81 people should do it as well. Your network stood up behind you, and I'm hoping people stand up behind me.
So I guess the lesson is you should have worked for Jeb or John Kasich. I don't see the feds going after anybody who worked on the Jeb ! Campaign or John Kasich. Right. Just notice, I'm sure it's not connected.
Well, Jeb took money from the Chinese, over $1 million into his affiliated PAC, so I don't see anybody asking them about that. But here we go again with the Russia collusion delusion. And by the way, you saw just yesterday, Chairman Schiff, who's missing all the headlines and the camera time, he's saying if Mueller's report doesn't come in and has the president live tweeting some question and answer with Mueller, he's going to start the whole thing over again. All he's saying is, if you don't release the Mueller report, we're going to rip everybody like Caputo apart limb from limb. That's what he's doing.
It's really, we're going to look back on this in horror and shame, I think. Michael Caputo, good luck.
Yeah. Thank you.